Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 17.38 Churchtower. We are back. Sorry for the half-week hiatus, guys.
Oh, we are back. I know to make up for the half-week hiatus, you have 3 chapters this week, right?
Well, you've made that up, so now you're a fool. You're a LARPer of the truth in some ways.
Oh, that's a shame.
You
Sorry,
LARPed at
guys.
being honest.
Sorry.
You LARPed too close to the sun, I'm afraid.
Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, we're back, and I'm excited to be back. I've been looking forward to Aether all week. It has become the highlight of my week. I'm very excited to see what happens next. Oh, wait, that's not next. That's back to day 1.
Well, yeah, if you recall, we've been leading up to from the Final Foot Church's perspective of what's been going on behind our scenes.
Oh, I see. All right, shall we pop in?
Sure.
Day 1. May Miracle did not wake up. She slowly opened her eyes. She was not where she had been. She was not skulking through the halls of Oberon, evading surveillance as she'd been ever since she followed Pandershi's crew back to Nermut. She wasn't even hiding away in a maintenance alcove, the last thing she remembered. Now she was somewhere else entirely. It was a dimly lit room, one that May had never seen before, and yet it exuded a sickly kind of nostalgia. There were no windows, no doors, just peeling wallpaper and rough carpet floor. A sealed box like someone's abandoned sitting room. The sole illumination in the room came from a spindly lampshade at May's side, its weary light bulb fading in and out of brightness.
It's fine. We don't have to change.
That's how we're wired. She looked down at herself. May Miracle was sitting in an old armchair, her hands right at the edge of the armrests, as if she was melting into the furniture. A kind of nauseous comfort kept her locked in place. There was nothing holding her, and the chair was far from comfortable, but the idea of moving was utterly repulsive. I've been there, brother. Her thoughts felt as strange as her body. Maybe melting was the right word after all. Everything in her head was like swirling porridge. Slowly, May Miracle looked up at the lampshade. "Animal loaf," it intoned. She blinked. Even that simple movement was excruciating. Not as if the one blink took a long time, but more like she had to repeat the same motion multiple times to complete it. It was like having something tickling your throat, a vague kind of discomfort you couldn't put your finger on. By the time she was done blinking, May Miracle was no longer alone. "Be not afraid," her visitor said. "I'm not afraid," she replied through numb lips. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is that? She thought through panicked neurons. The thing looking before her was a beast. A beast with dark fur like night. A beast with a white mask of bone. A beast with clawed hands that looked as if they could crush her head between 2 fingers. Her thoughts were sluggish enough that May could keep her face still, but it was impossible to be before something like this and be not afraid. Every cell of the creature had been designed with the inspiration of terror in mind. It was an apex predator. "Are you going to kill me?" May asked, still slouched down in the armchair. Yes, that was probably the case. May was starting to understand this bizarre situation. It was probably a dream, wasn't it? But it didn't feel like an ordinary dream either. She'd been ensnared by one of Pandershi's Aether users, surely, and now she was going to die in her sleep. Only... "No," the beast replied. "There's no benefit in that." May's eyes widened fractionally. "What then?" she slurred. "I believe our purposes are aligned," the beast replied, its calm voice a stark contrast to its hulking appearance. "You arrived here only recently, after Pandershi's attack on Serendipity. Your intention is to help bring him down, isn't it? Are you at all interested in an alliance?" May's gaze flicked up and down the beast's monstrous form. "You don't look like you're here to make friends," she said. "This form is necessary," the beast replied. "Depending on how this goes, I don't want you remembering my face after you wake up. There's a separation of memory inside and outside the dream, but you might still retain scraps of this. I'd rather you just recall a scary monster than my true form." May took a deep breath. Her head was starting to clear just a little bit. Slowly, as if she was moving through molasses, she brought her hands together and rubbed her palms together. Rub, rub, rub. She'd heard this was a good technique for maintaining lucidity in dreams, and indeed it seemed to be working. The room felt more solid. Her body felt more present. Even the monster before her seemed more like a physical object than a vague terror. "I'm guessing you're not with Pandershi, then?" she asked, her voice firmer. "Otherwise you'd have killed me already." "That's right. As I said, we're another party interested in bringing down Zephyr Pandershi. The dream ability belongs to my subordinate. He's directly linking our dreams together so we can communicate like this." May considered the proposal. I thought she hadn't slept at all the first few days.
No, it's mentioned that she was going like sneaking little bits of sleep.
May considered the proposal. If what this thing was saying was true, then this might just be her lucky break. She was confident in her abilities, but even so, she was just one person against the entire Pandershi Foundation. Ruth Blaine and Atoy Muzazi were somewhere on Nermut too, but it would be difficult to link up with them. As far as her allies went, beggars could hardly be choosers. "And what is it you think I can do for you?" May finally asked. "You sure are going to a lot of trouble here." "Why?" "Your position is ideal. I'll tell you right now, Pandershi and his security forces are aware of your presence in Oberon. They'll hunt you down before long, even with your ability. Your intention is to sabotage the early warning system, right? You want to give the UAP forces the best chances of a successful raid." "Sure." May narrowed her eyes. "That's what anyone would do." "Indeed. That's why Pandershi will use it as the bait for his trap. He'll have people waiting for you at every possible point of sabotage. It's impossible for your mission to succeed." "Huh. Thanks for the heads up." Despite her calm tone of voice, May's heart was beating a mile a minute. If Pandershi knew she was here, knew for a fact that she was here, then she was fucked. Forget the monster she was looking at in her dream. She was snoozing right in the belly of the beast. While she was dreaming like this, were they closing in on her? The monster's voice dragged her from her paranoid reverie. "You misunderstand," it said. "I would like for you to attempt to sabotage the early warning system anyway. Once you've been prevented, Pandershi will feel reassured. Even if you were to get through whatever trap he has for you, you wouldn't be able to interfere with the system anyway." May frowned. "Why's that?" "Because we already interfered with it last week. A highly effective virus was introduced into Oberon through the subconscious actions of 7 different Seelie Rangers. The good work is done." As the beast spoke, May considered its words. Wrong its, buddy.
Sorry, it's a dream, so she didn't get it right.
Never mind their plans. Who exactly were these people? If the monster was telling the truth, then they had access to considerable resources. The GID, maybe? Or Jin? Who's Jin again?
They were mentioned back in Arc 1. You're a LARPer, you don't remember that. We don't know anything about them.
No, the former would have no reason to target Pandershi, and the latter would never interfere directly like this. Never mind. There was no point speculating. Even if May asked, they wouldn't... "We're from the Final Church," the beast said. May blinked. "Huh?" "It's as I said. You won't retain much of this, so there's no risk of leaking information. If it helps you trust us, then I'm only happy to reveal myself." Slowly, May pushed herself back into her chair, a dubious expression on her face. "Well, if I won't remember it, then ain't it pointless to get me to trust you?" "Not at all. Something will remain subconsciously. If you were aligned with us and agree to our plan, then your waking self will unconsciously take steps to carry it out. I assume carry it out." Yeah. "The plan that involves me dying?" She gave the beast a withering look. "The one where I'm a decoy? That plan?" "I never mentioned you would die. So long as Pandershi is deceived, I'm happy to save you from the jaws of death." May looked the thing from the Final Church in the face. Or the mask? Whatever that thing on the front of its head was, anyway. There was no guarantee it was telling the truth about being from the Final Church. Even if it was from the Final Church, that didn't mean she could trust it. "I need some time," she finally said. "I gotta think about it." "You won't remember needing to think about it." She frowned stubbornly. "I want time." The beast cocked its mask, sighing in a voice that sounded used to sighing. "As you wish. We'll speak again. The next time you fall asleep." And then, as the bubble of memory popped, May Miracle woke up. I'd never be able to use this ability, because when I need to go to bed is when I have the hardest time falling asleep. I'm too worried about going to bed on time.
Yeah,
Fuck, I missed the meeting window, fuck!
Frey can only do it because he's a genetic sleepyhead.
Turn up the white noise machine, please. Day 2.
Jesse, let me wake up. I need to get to work. No, you must agree to our plan.
I'm so sorry he OD'd on melatonin. He's never coming home. Day 2. May Miracle did not wake up. She opened her eyes and immediately had to squint against the sunlight. She wasn't in the white, halls of Oberon anymore, nor was she in the dusty room from
the seats the dark secret of no moods. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's like when you go to Statue of Liberty in GTA 4 and there's a heart in there.
Oh. Right now, May Miracle stood on a beach at the world's end. The strip of white sand stretched off endlessly to both the left and right, the landscape unsettlingly uniform. And before her was the ocean. When she'd been growing up, May Miracle had often imagined the ocean. Her homeworld hadn't had such a large body of water, so her exposure to the concept had only been through the half-legible books the Calendar Gang stumbled upon. When she'd imagined what a beach and a sea looked like, well, it was a lot like this. "This is my dream, then," she spoke aloud. It wasn't very realistic. As the ocean flowed into the distance, it ceased to be water at all, transitioning into a flow of rocks and debris that spiraled into the hungry maw of a black hole. Was that yawning void something she'd have dreamed about too, or was it a contribution from her visitor? She glanced over at him. "You look different," she said. Indeed, the person standing beside her was not the beast she'd spoken to in her first dream. For one thing, he was an actual person. From the strange presence he gave off, May was sure he was at least the same individual from last time, but it was reassuring not to negotiate with someone who could snap you like a twig. The young man glanced back at her. His true form wasn't exactly what May had imagined from that monster. Rather than the burly figure she'd expected, he had pretty boy looks, with pastel pink hair and sharp pink eyes. As far as appearances went, he and his monstrous form couldn't have been further apart. May supposed that was probably intentional. A disguise was useless if it bore any resemblance to the one hiding themselves. "You wanted time," the boy said, his voice as calm as ever. "It's been a day. Your answer?" May crossed her arms, turning away from the black hole as she looked the young man from the final church in the eyes. "You're showing your real face this time, huh?" "I felt it would be conducive to negotiations," he replied. "You preferred Friday the 13th? May ignored the question. "You're really hoping to convince me, huh?" she said, cracking her neck. "Is it really that important to you that I go along with you guys?" The boy blinked, before slowly nodding. "Pandershi realizing Oberon has already been interfered with is the worst-case scenario," he admitted. "Yes, the smokescreen you could provide is extremely important for us. The situation has become chaotic, especially with all the supreme variants roaming around. We need to control as much as we can." May kept her arms crossed as she took a few steps into the sea, the water tickling against her ankles. As far as dreams went, this one wasn't half bad. It was far preferable to what was going on in reality, anyway. "Do you have an answer?" the boy called after her. May glanced back over her shoulder. "Let me ask you something." "Of course." "If I do this, you say you'll help me out. Make sure I don't die. Why should I believe that? Even if you betrayed me and I somehow survived anyway, I wouldn't even remember that you were supposed to help. The best move for you guys is to stand back and do nothing. The virus we introduced into Oberon can only do so much without making its presence obvious, but it can still interfere a little bit. It can cut the lights to give you an escape opening, or unlock doors to give you an escape route." "Yeah," May turned fully. "And why would you do that? Why would you bother? Don't dodge the question. I've got good aim." The boy sighed, closing his eyes as he angled his head up towards the kaleidoscopic sky above. He looked like he was wrestling with something inside his head. Just like May, he had crossed his arms. His fingers drummed against his forearm with the precision of a pianist. Finally, he opened his eyes and looked back down at her. "You and I are invisible people," he replied quietly. "People who are supposed to be thrown away once it's convenient. I've been like that ever since I was born. I assume it's been similar for you. May thought back. The girl wandering in the desert with a crowd of other ne'er-do-wells. The girl aiming a gun again and again and again, not caring what the target was. The empty person. May Miracle, an empty person. Maybe, she forced out. So what? The boy looked directly into her eyes, and in that moment she knew without a doubt that he was telling the truth. I hate abandoning things that expect it, he said quietly. Day 3. May Miracle did not wake up. She opened her eyes and immediately knew that she was in a dream. How could she not be? There was no pain, no blade piercing her body, no blood pouring from her wounds, replacing itself with cold as it went. This was nothing but a merciful dream her mind had conjured up to welcome her to unconsciousness. This wasn't the dim room, and it wasn't the beach either. In fact, it was difficult to say where exactly this was. Everything was indistinct, smeared over space like a world made of sludge. When May put her hands against the floor, they seemed to sink into its surface. It didn't seem to get any clearer the longer she looked around either. In fact, it was as if this vague world was decomposing the longer it existed. This sorry display, May knew, was the product of a mind that was shutting down. And she wasn't alone there. Hey there, sleepyhead! Slowly picking herself up, May looked at the person who had spoken, standing on the other end of the sludge-like landscape. For a second, she thought it was the young man she'd been speaking to previously. But no. Although this person had the same face, his demeanor and aesthetic couldn't have been more different. Who are you? She asked, her throat so dry the words were painful. You're curious about me? The boy giggled, before peeking at her between two of his fingers. The name's Misi, from the Angels of Hostility. Oh, you've already met my big brother, JC. You really got hurt back there, huh? JC, Misi. So those were these people's names. Everything was coming back to her in a drip feed. Her attempt to sabotage the early warning system, following JC's plan without realizing it, and the battle that had ensued. The life and death fight against Gregory Hazard. And, once it was all said and done, that white mask of bone, greeting her in reality for the first time. I guess Pandurshi got tricked then? May murmured, rubbing her collarbone, where her wound should have been. He thinks he stopped the sabotage. Yup! Misi gave a hearty thumbs up. You did, amazing! JC had to give you a hand when you first got caught, but after that, wow! I just couldn't believe it! May let her hand fall back down. Sleep was her anesthetic here, she knew. She should savor the absence of her injuries while she could. What happens now? She asked. Your leader, JC? He collected me right before I passed out, didn't he? Where am I sleeping? Am I at your base? Misi's smile froze on his face, and he awkwardly scratched his cheek with a finger. Well, about that... A chill went down May's spine. The smile returned to Misi's lips. It was visible just for a second, before he clasped his tanned hands together and put them before his mouth like a mask. He narrowed his eyes as he leaned forward, looking up at May, taking in her expression. The thing is... he said slowly. We were all talking, and since you've already done the job we needed you for, it's kinda like what you said before. Is there really, that much benefit in saving you? Free decided it'd probably be easier to just give you a nice dream to help you pass on, you know? Ooh. May stared down in horror at those gleeful pink eyes. What had she been thinking? Of course it had been like that. May had been a fool to think otherwise. For people like them, disposing of loose ends was the same as breathing. Once she had outlived her usefulness, she shouldn't have expected any further courtesy. I hate abandoning things that expect it. In the end, words were words. May's eyes had been retreating into themselves in horror and despair, but at that quiet giggle from Misi, they snapped right back to his face. Misi's giggles didn't stop when faced with May's sharp glare. If anything, they ramped up. Soon enough, he took his hands away from his mouth, letting out a full-on cheerful laugh. Oh my gosh! He clutched his stomach. Your face! Sorry. It's so good. You really thought you were about to die. All around them, the world continued to squelch and shift. A drop of the ceiling dissolved into the floor. All the while, May just continued to stare down at Missy, aghast. She blinked. Huh? I was just kidding! Ah! Missy waved his hands. Sorry, that was, so mean, but you made such a funny face. You're not dying, silly. Ah! JC went and rescued you. Isn't that nice? He's busy talking to our other new friend, so he asked me to, get you ready to wake up. Speaking of which, he raised his hand up into the air. Rise and shine! And snapped his fingers.
What a fucking asshole.
What'd you say?
What a fucking asshole.
He is. He's so mean. Why did we let him do the waking? Oh, I'm not doing all the emoji sounds every time. You're gonna have to accept that.
Well, no worries.
Sounds. May Miracle woke up. At first, though, she had her doubts. The place she woke up in didn't seem any more real than the dream she'd experienced over the last few days. She wasn't in a prison cell, nor was she tucked away in Oberon. Instead, she was in the bed of what looked like an antiquated hotel room, bandages wrapped around her body and pain exuding from every movement. That pain was the first assurance she had that she truly was awake. Otherwise, she'd have had her doubts. The tacky wallpaper and rough carpet weren't so different from that first dream she'd had, for one, and for another matter, the fact that she could even remember the previous dreams was suspicious. But this pain? May Miracle had sampled enough pain to tell the genuine article from a fake. You couldn't get this kind of realism from a dream. This was real. There was a creak as the wooden door to the hotel room opened. "You're awake," said JC. A statement of fact, not a question. He stood in the doorway, one hand behind his back, looking down at May with what might have been the most smothered kind of concern. Behind him, she could see a hallway stretching off, lined with doors into rooms presumably like this one. Was this place really a hotel? Was there somewhere like this in Z-Pan?
And the best part, you can eat them.
May tried to sit up as JC entered the room fully, but her body wasn't having it at all. A spike of pain sent her right back down into the bed. JC raised an eyebrow as her head hit the pillow. "I'd keep as still as possible if I were you," he commented placidly. "Our supply of panacea was limited, and given what Pandurshi's planning, we're reluctant to use too much of it. We stabilized you, but you'll have to let the stimulants do their work accelerating your natural healing. Leaving that bed is out of the question for the time being." May opened her mouth. Her real voice was a pain-filled rasp, but she still had to ask, "Why did you save me?" JC frowned. "I said I would." "You could have been lying." JC considered her words for a second, looking up at the ceiling. "I could have," he admitted. "I lie a lot. It's the nature of my work. But before I am an agent of the final church, I am an agent of why. I prefer to lie only when it is absolutely necessary." May considered JC's words for a moment. Could something so vague and flexible even be called a principle? Whatever the case, the fact that she was here meant that JC certainly seemed to believe in it. Maybe it was just something an empty person couldn't understand. May opened her mouth again. There was something else she just needed to say. "Your brother is an asshole." JC's lips twitched in a split-second smirk. "Missy's restless. He's our combat specialist, and he hasn't had many opportunities for combat. That'll change soon, though. Everything will begin within the next couple of hours." "What do you mean?" May furrowed her brow. "What exactly is going to begin?" "We'll get into that shortly," JC replied casually. "Once we're done here, we'll all have a discussion regarding the UAP's cooperation with us. First, I wanted to talk to you about something else." When May didn't say anything further, JC just kept going. "To tell the truth, you're not the only external ally we've recruited on Z-Pan," JC explained. "We made contact with someone else on the first day. Unlike you, he wasn't asleep, but his state of consciousness was close enough to a dream that Frey could connect to it. I understand you'll probably be unhappy, but he simply wasn't the sort of ally we could pass up." "What?" May mumbled. "Who are you talking about?" JC took a long, deep breath, bracing himself, before bringing his hand out from behind his back. He was holding a A woolen doll with buttons for eyes and a knitted outfit. A pale-skinned doll, a silver-hailed doll. A doll that looked more than a little familiar to the eyes of May Miracle. A doll she'd fought with everything she had just a few days ago. A voice trickled from that face without a mouth. "Yeah," said Dragon Hadrian. "I'm not thrilled about it either." That's his voice.
Turned him into a marketable plushie.
He's gonna sound like a Redditor. Who's this one? Which zodiac sign?
That's Gemini.
Oh, is he in a little doll of himself? Yeah. Okay, so he can't have the Redditor voice. I have to do normal Dragon. "Yeah," said Dragon Hadrian. "I'm not thrilled about it either." He's so cute. Is that the one Tinks made forever ago?
It is, yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
This was already going to be in the story, but I was like, hold on, I can have a picture of this. And can you tell where I've took that?
This is terrifying to me because the fact, if this is the canon one, is like someone like lovingly handmade a Dragon doll, because you can't really like mass produce.
I'll tell you right now, it was
crochet like this easily. Oh, heartwarming. I love it. Wow. So that's canon. Did you tell Tinks about it?
I've not yet, no.
Oh, you have to. I bet they'd love that. That's really cool.
Yeah, the Dragon doll is now canon.
Alright, well, let's get some quick questions.
There's a picture of it taken in front of my turned-off monitor to have, like, a black background.
Wow, you're like a photographer or something. Alright, let's see, where's our Aether questions at? God, we gotta go fast. You told Jack an hour.
Well, yeah, no worries.
Room asks, due to lack of Aether use, does Rakebone have any special association with the killing arts?
Yeah, that's pretty widely practiced there. It's more like regimented than in other places, so it's more like a lot of the things like the warriors do are basically killing arts without like a specific name to them.
Yeah, they don't shout the anime attack name. No. They just like they drill it.
They just have like.
Just like you can't just throw wind pressure palm at me without saying killing arts air palm, and they're like, oh, we just do that. Stiff Quadrat says, "Can you tell us the exact amount of users the prince had before? Was Helis Audrey one of them?"
No, and no.
Wasn't Helis Audrey's husband?
Yes.
Yeah. Rurum asks, what would Pandarshi's thoughts / opinions on Blackmane's thoughts on Aether and the Prince Regent plan?
To be honest, like, that much of a, like, looking to the future outside of oneself would not mean much to Pandarshi. Because like, all of Pandarshi's, like, thoughts and actions basically go back to themselves and bolstering their ego and sense of self. So, like, thinking about something that's going to happen, like, the far future after you're not around anymore, it makes no sense to Pandarshi whatsoever.
Okay. Hawks asks, "Oh, is that
like,
new face?"
If Pandarshi got to, like, 100 years after you die, Aether's going to get so bad that everyone's going to die, he would not care.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, yeah.
Because if I'm not there, who cares?
But what if there's no one to say I love you to him?
Well, he's not there anymore to receive that love, so you would not care.
Hawks asks, since Killing Arts Fafnir uses heat to mimic a dragon's breath, is it possible to do the opposite, as in generating and expelling cold through the body?
Yes, we've seen Ash Deldurin do this. It was like one of the first things we saw him do.
Yeah, he does. Like,
it wasn't like codified into the Killing Arts yet at that point in the story, though.
Stift asks, how much does it cost to commission an item? Is it comparable to a car, building, a country's wealth today, or is it in the realm of Amazon or Tesla levels wealth?
I would say it's fairly obscene for the Maker Guild.
Yeah.
Like there's Aethersmiths, like we know Aethersmiths that don't belong to them. Like Gretchen's an Aethersmith. She's basically just someone who makes Aether armaments. There's cheaper levels. There's levels to this shit. And Maker Guild is the top tier.
When I fucking buy my knockoff Aether item and it blows my shit smooth off.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's end it there for now. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.